Some questions are so important, they demand an answer, even if you're the only one brave enough to find a solution. Questions like, can a weed whacker power a Formula One car?
Drawing on the board. And I'm doing the math, and then I'm welding stuff, and then I'm grinding, and writing things,
No, you can't. It's just not possible. I'll be there in a minute. But there are rumors that just like weed whackers, chainsaws, and dirt bikes, the future of F1 engines could be two-strokes. So today, we're gonna dig into the changes coming to the F1 power units and figure out if we'll really be hearing that two-stroke braap in a Grand Prix someday. Four strokes killed the two-stroke, but now they're looking for a comeback. Two-stroke is brapping back.
Big thanks to Amaze for sponsoring today's video. Guys, this car is so nice that I'm just gonna cut to the chase. One of you has the chance to take home this BMW M2 Cs with taxes and shipping included. This M2 is equipped with a 3-liter twin turbocharged inline 6 pushing 444 horsepower. What? Yep. Are you serious? The blue metallic pairs super well with the all black interior and with special touches like M badges, I know you love those, 19-inch forged wheels, which look great, uppers, lots of carbon fiber all over the place. You'll be turning heads whether you're cruising downtown or just parked in the driveway. For your chance to win, donate today at omaze.com/donut. And what's the best part, you may be asking? Every donation supports the USA bobsled team, that's right. Your donation will help ease the financial burdens of training and competition for USA bobsled athletes. If you want to own this BMW M2 Cs with shipping and taxes included, donate today at omaze.com/donut. Good luck. If you win this thing, tag me. I'll be very envious. And now I'm going to go savor the drive back to the office.
Formula One has big changes coming for next year, including a brand new car entirely designed from the ground up, with one kind of big exception. The engine. Next year's futuristic car will be using the same engines as this year, and those are based on a design that's been around since 2014. F1 engines are even frozen until 2025, meaning we've got at least 3 more seasons with the current power units. Although with 1,000 horsepower on tap, it's not like current F1 engines are boring. Oh no, but the FIA thinks there's room for improvement. So they've assembled a crack team of engineers, F1 bosses, and engine constructors, including 2 potential newcomers, Audi and Porsche, to develop a plan for the future of Formula One power units. When new engines arrive in 2025, they'll still be turbo hybrids, but it seems many other details are up for debate. One of the most surprising suggestions came from Formula One's Chief Technical Officer, Pat Simmons, who says that he wants F1 to use 2-stroke engines. Simmons has been involved with F1 for 40 years, so it's not like he doesn't know how the sport works. And 2-stroke engines have been used in motorsports for decades, first appearing in a Grand Prix way back in 1926. So his suggestion might not totally be crazy. To see why, we need to figure out what the change might do for F1, and that means we gotta understand how 2-strokes differ from their more common 4-stroke cousins. And if you still think it's crazy after watching this episode, come tell us in the Donut Underground Discord. You'll fit right in with all the Saturn freaks. You're not gonna convince me, Doge Lord. Anyways, by now you're familiar with the 4 strokes of an ordinary motor. We've done a bunch about it. We even wrote a song, SSBB, suck, squeeze, bang, blow. That song. Because combustion only happens on the bang, each cylinder is making power just once for every 2 revolutions of the crank. Intake, compression, combustion, and exhaust are necessary to make any internal combustion engine work, but it's possible to combine those 4 steps into just 2 strokes, a power stroke and a compression stroke. By doing that, each cylinder in a 2-stroke motor makes power on every revolution of the engine. That means at the same RPM, a 2-stroke produces twice as many power strokes as a 4-stroke. Does that mean that a 2-stroke makes twice the power of a 4-stroke? Well, while that's theoretically possible, in the real world there are some important design differences that affect the way 2-strokes produce power. One important difference is that many 2-strokes don't have any valves, and that difference has some important effects, both good and bad. You'll sometimes hear people compare an engine to an air pump. That's because the piston's movement changes the volume of the cylinder, creating a pressure difference that suck in air or push out exhaust. And 4-stroke engine, that pumping process requires intake and exhaust valves opening and closing at just the right times. Those valves also create the seal that's necessary for compression and combustion. Creates a nice little tight chamber. In a piston port engine, the most common type of 2-stroke engine, the piston takes over for the valves. As the piston moves, it exposes or covers openings in the engine called ports, and these release air, fuel, and exhaust. But a 2-stroke is an air pump in another way too, because the movement of the piston not only changes the volume and pressure in the cylinder, it also does this in the crankcase. Since intake, compression, combustion, and exhaust have to happen in just 2 strokes, changes in crankcase pressure are integrated into how most 2-stroke engines work. When the piston is at bottom dead center, the crankcase volume is at its smallest. And as the piston rises during the compression stroke, this increases the volume of the crankcase, decreasing the pressure inside. The piston's movement uncovers an inlet port, and low pressure in the crankcase draws in air and fuel. Meanwhile, in the cylinder, the rising piston compresses air and fuel for combustion. Once the piston reaches top dead center and the spark plug fires, combustion drives the piston down for the power stroke. And as the piston travels, this uncovers the exhaust port. So expanding waste gases can escape from the high pressure in the cylinder to the lower pressure of the exhaust system. The same movement of the piston also compresses air and fuel below in the crankcase. Once the piston travels far enough to uncover the transfer port, that pressurized air-fuel mixture rushes towards the lower pressure of the cylinder. The piston begins its compression stroke once again, and the cycle repeats. By having air and fuel pass through the crankcase this way, the intake charge entering the cylinder has a slightly higher density than atmospheric air, and that adds power, a bit like the effect of a turbo or supercharger. Because the whole combustion cycle happens with no valves, cams, lifters, push rods, or timing system, a 2-stroke engine is also super simple. Since they produce power on every downward movement of the piston, they're more powerful than a similarly sized 4-stroke engine. And fewer parts means they're lighter, so with that extra power, that means a significantly better power to weight ratio. Their simplicity also means they're cheaper than 4-strokes, and one of the stated goals for the new 2025 Formula 1 power units is significant cost reduction. With more power and lighter weight, it kind of sounds like we should be using 2-strokes for everything, right?
So what's the problem here? Huh? Should we not all be 2-stroking? Is that what you're telling me, Jerry? Do I need to go get a 2-stroke? Put it in my friggin' Chrysler?
Okay, hold on, Frank, I'm getting to it. There are a couple of problems, and these problems show why 2-strokes can't quite make twice the power of a 4-stroke and why they might not be a good fit for F1. While it's true that 2-strokes make more power than 4-strokes for a given displacement, they don't make twice as much power because they're less efficient. One reason is incomplete scavenging. Now, scavenging is the process of replacing the exhaust gases inside a cylinder with fresh air and fuel. Because the exhaust port and transfer port are both open at the same time, the exhaust and intake process overlap, and not all the exhaust gases are replaced by fresh air and fuel. Leftover exhaust takes up space in the cylinder, meaning less room for air and fuel, and less powerful combustion than in a 4-stroke that completely separates its intake and exhaust phases. Scavenging from the crankcase through a transfer port also means that some of the fresh air and fuel is likely to escape through the exhaust port before it's sealed. 2-stroke engines will sometimes use specially shaped pistons or offset transfer ports to direct intake air away from the exhaust port. Another very common technique is tuning the exhaust system to produce pressure waves that come back towards the exhaust port, preventing intake air from escaping.
So what I have here is a Yamaha YZ250, and it is a 2-stroke dirt bike. And I have it here because I want to try to explain another thing that's common with 2-strokes, and that's their exhaust system. So manufacturers will tune exhaust system to produce pressure waves that come back towards the exhaust port, preventing intake air from escaping. That's kind of why a 2-stroke motorcycle exhaust looks sort of like a pregnant snake. Oh, it's okay, mommy, it's okay. Oh, those babies are gonna just pop right out real soon. Now this expansion chamber is tuned by its specific shape so that a portion of the previous cycle exhaust gets bounced back on the far end of this pipe, right here, making it all the way back to where it came from, briefly pressurizing the area just outside the exhaust port. That prevents the fresh air fuel mixture from escaping as the piston begins the compression stroke.
Another cause of inefficiency is the 2-strokes method of lubrication. A 4-stroke engine has an oil sump containing all the slippery oil to keep the crank, connecting rod, bearings, and pistons nicely lubricated, reducing friction and engine temperatures. But in a 2-stroke, where the air-fuel mixture is passing through the crankcase on its way to the cylinders, there's no separate system for lubrication. The oil that keeps the bottom end of the engine spinning smoothly has to be mixed with the fuel, and just like the fuel, gets sucked into the cylinders and burned during combustion, further reducing efficiency. That's why on startup, a 2-stroke engine has a cloud of smoke coming out the exhaust. Once it's inside the crankcase, most of the oil mixed with the fuel separates and it clings onto the moving metal parts, and most of the gasoline is moved into the cylinder for burning. But that separation isn't perfect, and part of that oil is burned with the gas, which typically produces a little bit of bluish smoke. It also smells amazing. Because most 2-stroke engines burn oil by design, that increases their emissions too, and that's why 2-strokes have a reputation for being dirtier than 4-strokes. So even though they're cheaper, the problems of 2-stroke efficiency and emissions could make them difficult to adapt to Formula One. That's because 2 other stated goals for the 2025 power units are using sustainable fuels and carbon neutrality. That is possible for internal combustion engines generally. We did a whole episode on how Porsche is creating carbon neutral fuel, and Formula One has a similar plan to create biofuel from industrial bio-waste like corn husks or even lumber scraps and even household garbage. But those processes are expensive. With less efficient engines or ones producing excess carbon emissions, like 2-strokes do from burning oil, the cost and challenges for making clean, sustainable combustion increase. The cost reduction from the simplicity of a 2-stroke might not be enough to offset that. So if 2-strokes are dirty and inefficient, why would Formula One's chief technical officer even consider them? Well, that's because the 2-stroke reputation is, quite frankly, a load of bull poopy. What we've described so far, and what most people think of with 2-strokes, is a design based on ancient engine technology found in $200 lawnmowers, but nothing like what a multi-million-dollar 2-stroke race car would be. All of the problems associated with 2-strokes can be avoided by updating their design, and Simmons knows this. How? Well, because Ferrari did it almost 30 years ago. Back in 1994, Ferrari developed an engine called the Tipo F134 that solved the 2-stroke problem of burning oil by simply using a sump like every 4-stroke engine. That improved emissions, but it meant the air entering the cylinders wasn't passing through the crankcase and being compressed. So to make up for that, they added a supercharger to pressurize the intake air for more power. Since the air and fuel didn't need to be mixed in the crankcase like in most 2-strokes, Ferrari replaced the typical carburetor with direct fuel injection. They also changed the exhaust port for an exhaust valve, and by delaying the injection of fuel, additional air could be pushed in through the cylinder to make sure all the exhaust was cleared out before closing the valve and injecting fuel for another combustion stroke, solving the efficiency problem. Even though the F134 was just a prototype, Ferrari showed that it's possible for 2-strokes to be made clean and efficient with implementations of modern engine technology. Adding an oil sump, valves, and forced induction reduces simplicity and increases cost, but F1 engines already have those features and more. And with twice as many power strokes, a 2-stroke Formula One engine could be a potent alternative to the current 4-strokes. But even if it is possible to make a 2-stroke engine that's cheap, runs on sustainable fuel, and is carbon neutral, we still won't be seeing them in Formula One. And that's because the FIA and existing F1 teams have pretty much ruled them out. The FIA says that whatever the crack team of engine experts decide for 2025, it has to be attractive to new power unit manufacturers like Porsche and Audi, who have been involved in the engine discussions. Nobody's currently working on advanced 2-stroke engines for race cars. Just not happening. And that's because race car engineering is often a test bed for performance road cars, and there's simply no demand for 2-strokes there. Also, the current teams have said they're not interested in reinventing the F1 combustion engine, especially because more of the power in 2025 will be coming from the hybrid electric system and less from combustion. So whatever happens, the teams say it will be an evolution of the current 4-stroke design. And that freaking bums me out, man, because I'm a 2-stroke boy, and I would love to hear the sweet brappity brap of a screaming F1 engine on a track, smell that yummy, yummy fuel. Oh gosh, it'd be great, man. what could have been. But maybe the real reason why Simmons wants to see two-strokes in F1 is because he wants to hear them. Longtime fans of Formula One fondly remember the sounds of high-revving V8s, V10s, and V12s, and a high-performance two-stroke could have a similar exhaust note. Red Bull boss Christian Horner even said that for him, F1 is about the noise, the entertainment, and the fastest cars in the world, and a way to show that the combustion engine has a future. And then you have Mercedes boss Toto Wolff saying, we can't go back to Flintstone's engine. Even if a two-stroke can be cleaned up, the clear direction for Formula One is towards advanced sustainable power sources. The FIA, Wolff, and most teams believe that's the only way for F1 to be at the forefront of advanced technology and innovation, and that's the key for attracting new, younger fans to the sport.
Give her the beans, James!
Give it the beans. Give it some beans.
The beans.
I gave it too many beans.
Couple beans.
Give her the beans, James!
Give me some beans, baby. Forward!
We said it a lot, you heard it a lot, and now it's on a freaking shirt. The Give It the Beans t-shirt is officially here. It's got a cool little Give It the Beans hit on the front and a Tacoma with all the high-low fixings on the back. Get yours right now at donutmedia.com, only $29.98, which is so much less than $30. Get yours before supplies run out, and give it the beans.
That's enough beans.
What do you guys think? Do you think it's a smart move? Were we gonna miss the sweet sounds of F1? I think we are, but just enjoy it while we got them, you know? Just enjoy it while we got them. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of B2B. If you can hit that like and subscribe button, that really helps us out. Thank you so much. You wanna see some of the crazy stuff we do around here on things we can't show on the main channel? Follow us on Instagram. We post a bunch of stuff on there. That's at Donut Media. Follow me on Instagram. That's Jeremiah Burton. Follow me on TikTok. My TikTok, I had to change my name because they banned me. It's, what is it? Silence of the Lambda. You guys get it. Follow me on TikTok. Let's have some TikTok-y fun. Until next week. Bye for now.